And we're now joined by René Carayol from the Inspired Leaders Network to guide us through the financial stories. Good morning, René.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Fine, thank you, and welcome to Talk Radio. Thank you for doing this for us. Let's start, if we may, with this notion of the living wage. And I do think I'm right in saying that just after the election last year, George Osborne was widely reported to have wrong-footed Labour by suddenly saying, forget the minimum wage, we are going for the living wage. Was that a shock, do you think, for Labour and to the markets generally?
Seems a long time ago for George Osborne to wrong-foot anyone, really, doesn't it? But it's really interesting. I'm not sure robbing Peter to pay Paul ever works. It never works. And we can see that the minimum wage is nearly laughable. It's just not right. It's inappropriate. But I think that killing any incentives for those to start businesses and grow businesses by minimising what they could actually make, what they could earn, doesn't benefit anyone. I really don't believe that works.
But if we were making, say, £72 an hour a benchmark, that's still something to strive for if you're only earning £70.20 an hour. That would give you motivation, wouldn't it, to climb that ladder a little further?
I'm sure it would, but I think people get motivated even more if there are no limits to what they can do. We need our entrepreneurs to think the unthinkable, to believe that they can do absolutely anything. In order to achieve that, then let's not put any boundaries or limits on their dreams.
What seems to happen, though, is, and I know you're from the Inspired Leaders Network, and I wonder if you've got members who would kind of concur with this, people seem to make a huge amount of money, almost an unthinkable amount of money, and then, if we're lucky as a race, they tend to give it all away, like Bill Gates.
We're seeing the rise and rise of philanthropy, and that's only a good thing. And you're absolutely right. We've got some of our members who have worked incredibly hard, made millions, and then amazingly give it away. We're living in very interesting times, but I'm not sure it's about penalising people. I think it's about incentivising people. Punishment doesn't work.
So no maximum wage as far as you're concerned. What should the living wage be then? If you say that the minimum wage is laughable and even the living wage of $7.20 an hour, what should it be, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure £9 an hour, anything like that, resolves the problems of today. We have a whole generation today who are forced to rent because they just can't afford to buy their own properties. That's not an incentive. I think it's looking at the minimum wages where our opportunity is, and Osborne's opportunity. And we've got to make it really worthwhile for people wanting to work. At £7.20 and £9 an hour, that doesn't sound like an incentive to me.
OK, let's turn, if we may, now to the more general world of business news, René. Football business, is the world going mad when it comes to football money?
Well, it's really interesting for the conversation we've just had. Then we look at some of the salaries that are on display, and we hear about some of the packages that some of the footballers are being offered, and some of them £300,000, £400,000 a week. Then you'll start to convince me to have a look at maximum earnings. That's not a way forward.
Although the argument often is, isn't it? The argument is...
the last few weeks with fans complaining about how much it costs to get into games, and yet the stars on the pitch are earning £300,000 a week.
Although the argument tends to be they generate a huge amount of money via Sky, they also get a huge amount of money for sponsors and stuff, and actually they do have a relatively limited shelf life with the risk of injury and it all stopping for them.
And you make some very good points indeed. But when the fans who actually drive the game, who follow their passion brands, can't afford to go and see those heroes, something's not quite right.
OK, now let's turn finally, if we may, to the ongoing fallout from the wrangles within the government. The Conservative Party, normally regarded as the party of business, and they seem to have got the budget ever so slightly kind of squiff. What's the mood like in the business world at the moment? Confused by wanting to leave the EU, confused by a Conservative Party that's been sure-footed for so long with a massive majority. The infighting that's taking place at the moment benefits no one again. This is a moment for leadership. And Osborne speaking in the House today, what a moment he's got. But, it's quite interesting that all of us in our works of life, if we make mistakes, we get things wrong, we fess up, put our hands up, and we move on. Do we?
We decry them for U-turns.
Oh, that's true, actually. I mean, in real life, you're regarded as being flexible if you change your mind. In politics, it's regarded as being weak, isn't it?
Absolutely. He made a really bad call about disability. He's turned it around. You'd expect for him to be applauded for fessing up. In the opposite, he's going to get it in the House today, and it won't be helping business.
René, we appreciate your time this morning. We'll speak again. René Carayol there from the Inspired Leaders Network speaking to Talk Radio. You've heard from René. He's against the idea of a national maximum living wage. What do you make of it? Give me a call, 0844 499 1000. The living wage, which is a transformation of the minimum wage, comes into force from next week, from April. It was announced in the Chancellor's very first budget, which was last year. As René said, it seemed a lot longer ago than that. And it's gone from, I think, $6.70 to $7.20 an hour. That's the living wage, the minimum wage.
wage. What should a maximum wage be if you think that's a workable idea? We mentioned 10 times. René said that would remove incentive. Maybe then 20 times, which will be £144 an hour, a gross of your British pounds an hour. Should that be the ceiling? Give me a call, 0844 499 1000. It's Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.